This is Morten Reitert from INKISH TV, and we are here late afternoon Friday after a very, very busy week with, I think this is the number 19th interview over the Skype that I'm doing. And as I told you yesterday, I've been in India, I have been in Singapore, I have been in Europe. Yesterday was Iceland and New Jersey, and now I'm so fortunate to be back in Colorado. But actually, it should not only be Colorado, it should have been San Diego, because I'm talking to Jonathan McGrew from Solimar. So welcome to my show, Jonathan.
Hello, Morten. It's great to be here.
I know that you like it, so that's great. Jonathan, you are working for Solimar. What is it that you do with Solimar?
So basically, I create engagements. I work with our partner channels, with our customer advisory council, and our customers around the world. But what I facilitate is really great engagements, understanding of what we do and how we help the print and digital communications industry. And my job title is Senior Director of Engagement, so it's kind of fitting.
That's great. Actually, it's kind of fun that you mention it, or maybe not fun, but a natural extension to what I'm about to say, because I spoke to one of my good friends in the US, and he said that when it comes to engagement, he believed that Solimar was absolutely on the top of that. And I know that your conferences and your educational things is on top of what everybody is aiming at. So I guess that's part of what you are responsible for, right?
Correct. Yep. We've got our user conference, which we're kind of adjusting now due to the times right now, like our Skype interview. So we're looking at doing some virtual events throughout the year to lead up to the September now conference. And we look forward to even having INKISH be there. So that's something we have to look forward to. And it's going to be fun. But yes, that's what I do. I facilitate.
I just want to tell you that I look more forward to get to San Diego and see you than you look forward to us get there, I tell you.
Well, that is why we like holding it at the headquarters in San Diego. It is a lovely city to be around.
Yeah.
Especially even in September. The weather is going to be even better than May.
And I was actually there with Deborah Korn last year, where we were filming from HP. So I've been in the city a couple of times, and I really like it. So that is cool. You know, one thing that I would like you to talk about is that I understand your title, understand what you're working with, but what I would really like to understand as well is, can you give a little bit more insight? What is Solimar and what is it you do?
Well, so what we do is we facilitate print and digital delivery for a wide variety of types of industries. So everything from your traditional bills and statements all the way to direct mail, wide format labels. And how we do that is we help customers onboard their work into their production facilities. And then we basically manage, enhance, make ready, track, report, all of those processes throughout with our software capabilities we've been developing for nearly 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year. So it's really exciting to watch how the company has gone from just a print language to another print language transformed to a whole ecosystem we call chemistry. And chemistry, because it's like the chemistry we have right here on the phone. That's what we want to build with our partners and our customers and the media too. People like you.
Thank you. Maybe I'm stupid, but I guess there's a lot of people that will say that. But I am a little bit, because I would like to know, because you said that you produce software, and that was maybe the only word I understood. So can you elaborate
Sure.
elaborate a little bit with what is it you do? I mean, because what I understand is basically you take data streams from different sources and then you direct it into a print stream, or how should I get that?
Yeah, I think we focused and have focused since 1997 on PDF. So a lot of people know what a PDF is, and PDF as a language is actually used, among others, there's others out there, to create things, create communications, whether it be packaging or signs or bills and statements, things that you get in the mail, things that you read and you really interact with, but also what we view on our computers, what we interact with in our email. And what our software does is it helps companies who produce it, who send it out in large volumes typically. What we do is we help them manage all that. We help them get those communications into their production environment to make it and deliver it, to bring it out into the world. And everything we do is about making that better from an automation perspective so that there's less manual processes. An example is we had a customer we were on the phone with just recently for a case study who, by using our software, the manual things they do to bring work into their environment to produce it has gone from 20 minutes to 20 seconds.
And that
And
is
that's just from a value is just huge for them.
and that is by optimizing all the process, because I remember that. I don't know if it was introduced, but at least it was announced at Printing United last year that you had some new PDF tool that was really
Yes.
creating a better PDF for fast processing. Is that part of what you're talking about now?
Correct. Yes. So that is our what we would call our make ready, or some people would call it perhaps pre-press or pre-optimization, if you will, for the workflow.
But
So we'll use
what is it?
workflow a lot
Yeah,
too.
what is the name for that PDF?
And that's ready PDF.
Oh yeah, that's
So
ready PDF. Yeah, that
and
was
just like you want to get it ready
yeah.
and you want it to be PDF.
Yeah, and I believe that that Solimar has. I mean, I think you got some press on this one, because I think that you're actually optimizing it quite considerably when it comes to output. I mean, I guess that everybody can imagine that if you have 5 megabyte PDF files, and you could actually have 500K PDF files, that the processing time on the RIPs and on the printers will be considerably smoother in operation, and also you need less CPU and less memory and things like that. Is that so? That kind of optimization that Solimar is giving to your customers in these software solutions, is that kind of the core of what you do? Is that like optimizing the workflow of your customers?
Yes, I mean, we do a lot of optimization. The key around Ready PDF is that we also fix fonts, which a lot of software out there still today doesn't do. In fact, we're one of the only ones I know of that can, in an automated, high volume fashion, fix fonts, as well as other things about the structure of the PDF, which is really important, especially for print vendors. Ranging the gamut of label printers and packaging printers and everything, but also that traditional transactional mail or bills and statements that we do a lot of, or direct mail, things that go out like marketing mail. So what's important is the optimization, but the other part of that is the enhancement. So being able to change things dynamically on the page in a mass format so that you can templatize it and automate it, because you want to add new barcodes or augmented reality. We have a way to add a QR code that triggers an appless web AR now. That's a fairly new thing, so that you don't have to download an app on your phone, or a provider doesn't have to build an app to give someone that bridge from the physical piece to the digital experience like we're having here on the phone. And that's really incredible. We hope to show that at Drupa 2021 in April now, with a lot of our partners that we'll be there with. And it's just what we do is we try to optimize, enhance, add value, but also track, give you that what I like to call accountability, so that one of the things you want to be able to report on when a customer calls in is, where is that piece? Where is that job? Is it done? Did it get delivered? And in a lot of markets, that's still a struggle. Like, packaging and labels, the more variable they become, the more important that's becoming. And we've been doing that for almost 30 years in transactional, because we had to for regulation, right?
Yeah.
But it's extending. And so we're taking all of our expertise from the last 30 years, and we're branching out into more and more print and digital markets so that we can help people do more and hopefully spend less time doing tasks that software can do, that they can focus on important stuff.
Yeah, that sounds, of course, quite interesting. And I was just about to say that I'm not trying to be provocative, but isn't that what you could expect, that even the vendors and should do something on their rips or something? I mean, I'm just saying that if you buy an extremely fast printing press and it is not capable of doing those kinds of things, are you considering, or do you already do like OEM deals in order to make sure that it's a full package when you invest in a printer, for example, if you invest in it for transactional prints?
Yes, we work with a lot of the large hardware manufacturers, and we are, because this is a newer product that we released last year, actually, in its first version. So we're looking at being able to provide that as an OEM technology. But there's also some technology issues around making the press the center of activity. So there are actually some benefits to keeping the software in front of it
Yeah.
and pushing a clean file
Yeah.
directly to the printer. So it just depends on the volume.
Yeah, I totally get that. I was more curious about, I mean, if you have that optimization potential and you have a bottleneck that is based on data, I just think that in 2020 that sounds like a little bit obscure that that should be the issue when you have fast computers and great software. But that's one of the reasons why I believe it's so great that companies like Solimar is capable of developing software that apparently and evidently gives such a high value to the customers. I mean, it must be the return on investment on I don't know the prices, but the return on investment when you see that kind of scalability, not only in the PDF files and data streams, but also your capabilities of enriching data, that must be something that has a really high value for your customers.
It does. And what's great is that we have 28 customer advisory council members this year as part of Solimar, and we have a number of named case studies with our customers that talk just about that, about the ROI, how we enable more business, how we save them time and money. And so, yeah, the software will pay for itself, and we can prove that out over the years. But the other thing that's really important is to sort of look at even our daily lives. Do we buy a new car every 6 months? Do we buy a new computer every 3 days? A new cell phone? Well, cell phones maybe, because we dropped them. But you know what I'm saying? And printers and print industry and even digital technology, we're seeing here in the US all of the issues around old coded websites that can't handle traffic. That's the reality of just environments that evolve over time. So one of the things that's really valuable about our software is that we can make technology people already own even more valuable and relevant and keep up with some of today's needs while they're trying to invest in new. And that's the important part. You know?
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit because once I was talking to the nice people from AMS, now part of Baldwin. It was quite interesting because when they added like the UV lamp to an old offset machine, the quality of the machine was way better, and life extension was like seamless. Right. So it seems that when you're talking about these kind of things, it's like adding a component to a press, and then you get a higher output and a more valuable output, so it can be extended for some time, right?
Correct. Yeah. And it's just all about that. It's all about helping customers do more with what they have, but also transition to new technology. We have all of those things sometimes happening in the same environment where they're bringing in new technology. So they have to change how they do things around print and even digital preparation of the files. But also they realize they have technology that they aren't ready to replace yet. So they need help optimizing how they're working so that the new technology doesn't disrupt the old processes. It's really a fascinating industry. And then you add on top of that print people are looking to stay relevant with the world as print changes. Yeah. So printing is expanding. A lot of printers are looking at things like going into labels when they haven't before, or textile printing, or packaging, whether that be carton converting or flexo packaging. Wide format is a huge market that's growing. Yeah. And so these printers are also looking at, how do I not add 18 pieces of software into my environment? How do I add one or two or three that can do a lot of what I want to do, and my people can learn.
Sure.
And it lessens their complexity, and it's really exciting. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much print and software technologies touches the entire world.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I'm was a little bit curious about is the products that Solimar develops and sell. Is that does it require that you have like implementators and like highly skilled people to make that work in printing environments, or how do you get? I mean, let's say I buy something from you, and
Mhm.
how do I get it to work?
Well, that's actually a really great question. I just wrote a blog recently for our website about not handcuffing yourself with professional services, or those custom services that we were used to in the 90s, where you had to really, and even the 2000s, right, the early 2000s.
Maybe even
And so
today,
no,
at some point,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
today
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you still find a lot of required custom services or professional services to get a solution into a complex environment, or even maybe it's just any environment.
Yeah, yeah.
What we focus on is we have our online university. We actually rarely send people on site anymore. We do
Okay.
a global business.
Yeah.
And so what we do is remote install and remote training for most people, which is great
Yeah.
considering how the world has moved right now.
Definitely. Yeah.
And it may continue to be the best strategy going forward. But our goal is to always produce software that people can learn quickly, get up and running fast,
Yeah.
and teach themselves internally, so that they don't need us all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
We don't want to do massive custom coding and all of that. We want them to put it in and make it work,
Yeah.
and have it run for a long time.
And now you are as a engagement manager or whatever your title was. I can't remember all these new titles.
Senior Director of Engagement. Yes.
Sorry, because what you just said sound almost like a sales pitch to me, or marketing pitch. Because I was, of course, curious when you have complex solutions like the ones that you evidently offer to the market. Is it really that easy to get that working, as you just explained?
So it's not as simple as starting up an iPad.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
we
Okay.
wish it was.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But it is less complicated than it was probably even 5 years ago. And what we focused on, so I've been at Solimar, fair warning, 3 years, and I was a product
So it's your
manager in my
fault.
life.
So it's your fault
Yes.
that it's better. Yeah.
Well, I would say I have influence. We have a great product people and strategy people, but what we focused on back when I started in 2017 was we knew that the UIs and the user experience was critical, because people coming up. I mean, I'm technically a millennial, so people always say millennials are different. I find that hard to believe, but I guess it's true. And the difference is, though, is that even my grandparents, who my grandfather's over 90, uses an Apple.
Yeah.
And the point is that the user interface has changed what we expect in our daily lives. And why shouldn't that translate into the print and complex business world? And so what we focused on for the last 3 years are a bunch of user interface activities, and we built the online university. So is it super easy? No, you've got complex networks and data streams and stuff, but is it easier than it was? And do we feel like we're ahead of other people in the market? Yeah.
And that was.
I'm also supposed to say that.
Yeah, but that is.
But it is true.
But that is, of course, also my point, because I mean, guess that today. I was just about to everything from the packaging to installation process to UI, all these kind of things is becoming more and more important, even for industrial graded products and service and software.
Right.
I actually wrote an article a couple of weeks ago about gamification in the printing industry, which is kind of interesting subject, maybe not specifically related to your thing, but just the question is that when you talk about that UI and as in the KPI, do you find that it is a very good selling point when you approach potential customers with the Solimar products?
We see that it makes a big difference. The UI and how people can understand quickly how to do something in their environment is critical for them. There's a lot of fear sometimes around bringing in a new solution, and what if you can't get the work done and meet your company's expectations? It really doesn't matter whether you're regulated or not. You still need to push work out to make money, right?
That's
And
how it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
and training and change in an environment, we know from my background is brand management and marketing, but we know organizational change is one of the biggest challenges that an organization can go through. And so what we want to do is make our software easy to understand and easy to be implemented so that basically people enjoy using it and want to do more with it. And part of our focus is as we go into newer markets where people may not have as much training, our focus is how can we make our products even easier to understand or packaged so that they're less complex specifically for those markets, you know?
One of the things that I often talk to people about when I talk to them about workflow and automation and maybe even more software in general is the fact that because you talk about, on the one side you talk about the easiness of using it, and you also talk about the user interface on the thing. But I think that one of the constant things I hear from especially the larger printing companies is also the fact that APIs become more and more important in the choice of software. Is that something that you focuses on as well?
Yeah, so we actually have been looking at that a lot in the last couple of years. We have an API guide for our dashboard product, and we're expanding on that as we continue to look at the market and how people want to bring information in for viewing and how customers look at that. We think that's a key for the future, is being able to easily interact, have data interact with the systems within an organization. I think that's been a trend really for the last, half decade.
Yeah, because it's been a demand for a long time. But I mean that when you talk to printing companies who have more and more experienced IT people employed, and the requirements for getting a faster and faster and more accurate output continues to increase. The automation is not just about how you handle the specific jobs in the UI, but also how you're able to control the entire workflow so you can program that specifically to your needs. And that is, just to underscore, that is also part of the Solimar roadmap, basically, right?
Yes, indeed. And we see that it's a huge value for people to be able to push and pull in and out of the systems. Yes.
Another thing that just struck me right now that I was a little bit curious about, because you also mentioned as part of the KPIs, you mentioned that Solimar has a background, 30 years old background. But I was wondering, when you're a software company, does that also come as a disadvantage sometimes in their marketing? Are you able to get in up to speed all the time with all the developments and the technologies, and also reaching new customers where the legacy is maybe less of an asset?
Well, yeah, I think it's always a challenge as you grow and when you're an older company. But I also think that it gives us that steady state.
Yeah.
So we have technology that's proven, that we've built foundations on, that's backwards compatible. But yeah, so part of the reason Marianne and I work together, Marianne's our CXO, our Chief Experience Officer, and been with the company 30 years. She likes to find people like myself who are interested in pushing the envelope. And I think all of our strategy and engagement and marketing folks are really looking to push the envelope of where we can go in the future. We read a lot of articles. You'll see a lot being published from Solimar in the last 3 years especially, because we have a focus to make ourselves more visible, more relevant, and stay with the times.
Yeah.
It's not an accident that we're 30 years old. We want to be 60 years old.
Yeah, I understand that, of course. And I think that the times I have met both you and Marianne, it seems that you are extremely focused on the value proposition, basically. And I think that what I like about Solimar, I don't know your products very well, to be honest, but what I know from the people that I met, both you and Marianne, but also some of the other people there, is that it seems to be very, very focused around that knowledge sharing, and make sure that part of your marketing is making sure that people have access to all the relevant information that they need in order to make proper decisions. And that is something
Right.
that is extremely aligned with the way that we believe the printing industry should grow, because I don't think it's always a time of having like 2-3 minutes marketing pieces, because this is complex things, this is big money, it's heavy investments if you look at the all things. So for me, it's like really I really appreciate that approach, because I think that's how we make better decisions in the future for the industry.
I totally agree. One of the things I love about working with Marianne actually is that she has always had a focus of relationship building. This has always been a relationship oriented process, from showing the roadmap and having conversations with current customers to going out and finding new partners and interacting just with the industry in general. We've always, as a company, like others, shared at industry events, educational focused topics. With our own user conference, we continue to focus on case studies. We want people to take usable, relevant information about what you can do, because the product isn't useful if you don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And so for us, we want people to make good decisions for their company, because that means that they will want to do more.
Yeah.
We don't want them to buy it and stick it on a shelf and never implement it. That's not helpful.
Oh, that would be a shame, right? So, final question before we round up this little conversation here, Jonathan, is you touched upon Drupa, and I think there's the coronavirus has affected a lot of events and a lot of businesses, even though it's just a few months old, basically. Now you postponed the user conference, Solimar user conference, to September, and as you said, fortunately, it's a good time of year. What is? Are you certain that it will take place? I mean, how is the American situation in relation to that? Are you coping with it?
Yeah, we're coping with it. I would say that at this present moment in April, it's not certain that we could have it in May. So we felt like most people, the best thing was to move it out. We're monitoring it. We're planning for it. We already have people who continue to say that they're willing to come in September instead of May.
Yeah.
And I think people will be ready.
Yeah.
I think if the world is ready, I think people will be ready. If it's not safe, we'll continue to reassess.
Of course. I was not questioning that part of it. I was
No.
I was more thinking that the fact that with everything postponed, I also take that at some point it influences even Solimar, even though you can do a lot of things on remote. It influences all the decision processes, and you see. I heard today that I think it was the British Printers Association that expect 1,000 printing companies to suffer so much that they are close to their existence during this crisis.
Yeah.
So of course that also influences the entire value chain of selling software and hardware and things like that, and the confidence in the market. People even talk about that it influences the global economy, right? So I was not
exactly.
I know that both you and my company is not directly affected by that, and of course we don't influence it either. But talking about it and understanding the mechanisms of that is, I think, is something that we have to do from time to time.
Well, and to speak to that, I mean, what we've done for our customers is give them more trials. So some customers who wanted to buy may not be able to because of, like you say, the procurement processes are stalled right now, or they're having challenges because people aren't in the buildings they need to be in to do the planning. And so we're just working with everyone. Our goal is to be as helpful with them as possible, so that when things change, and it is a moving target,
and then you will be ready when it
change. They are here. We're here for them, and the print industry, normally the effect is later.
Yeah.
Even with the recessions of 10 years ago, we saw all the numbers that it happened later for the print industry than other industries that get affected immediately. But we're all in this together,
Yeah.
as they say. So we're going to keep doing everything we can to move forward.
I know.
And that's actually one of the benefits of being a 30-year-old company is we're not a startup, so we have the ability to withstand natural disasters, whether they're Corona or otherwise. Because, hey, we are in California. They do have earthquakes.
They do.
And so we're prepared for that.
Okay.
And I think it'll be nice, though, when people are able to get back together face to face, because I think they'll be craving it.
100%, 100%. Jonathan McGrew, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and I bet that we see each other in San Diego in September, so I look very much forward to that. And thank you very much for your openness and giving us a little insight to the exciting services and products and your view on the industry from back from home in Colorado, but representing Solimar in this case. So thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to seeing you as well in September. We'll just make it a plan.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.